lease purchase, there are three things that I feel you should really look at within your first 30 days and look at really good. So, you want to know what those three things are? Well, stick around and let's talk about it. Hey guys, welcome back. I am Trainer Allen, your OTR truck driving instructor. There are a lot of things to consider before going ahead and getting into a lease. Everything from, the company's reputation to, what uh, as far as business aspect of the company. There are a lot of things to consider when it comes to what equipment they're leasing, whether it's new, whether it's used, and this type of thing. We're not going to discuss those things today. The things that we're going to discuss today are the three most important parts. You've already decided to do the lease. You are in orientation, finishing up orientation, and there are three things that you really want to pay attention to as you start into this new lease. The first thing is your contract. Okay. Of course, this should go without saying. However, it's easy to assume that just because you've signed a contract for a lease purchase with a company before, that the new one will be similar, if not the same, especially if you're at the same company. That is an invalid assumption. Don't ever make that assumption. Definitely look at the contract, read the contract, know what it says, know what your rights are in the contract, know what you can expect of the company through that contract. That contract should lay everything out nice and pretty like. If it doesn't and you have questions, ask those questions before signing the lease. It's that simple. But definitely go over the contract, actually read it. Don't just make assumptions and be like, oh, well, it's all going to work out, blah, 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 sign dotted line. No, don't do that. Don't make assumptions. Read. Get the information that you need to operate your business successfully. All right. Number two, equipment. In most contracts, it will give you a grace period to go over the equipment. That is to say, when you're getting into a lease purchase, chances are most decent lease purchases are used equipment. Okay. So it's going to have some issues. There's no getting around that. However, the more issues that you can catch up front, the better for you, the better for the company. Because ultimately, most companies will help you out and, in fact, will correct many things that are wrong with the truck at the very beginning if you bring it to their attention and let them know. Okay. And that goes for every part of the truck. Inside your first 30 days, make sure you know what that truck is. Now, before you ever drive off the lot, obviously you want to do, your pre-trip inspection. You want to try to go over it as much as possible with a fine-tooth comb. However, there are going to be things that you're not going to find until you're rolling down the road. Okay. Understand that, know that, don't get upset about it. Write these things down, then let the company know about it and see how they're willing to work with you. Okay. If they're unwilling to work with you on equipment that might have some serious issues at the very beginning, then you might not be with the right company. But definitely go over the truck with a fine-tooth comb. Note all problems in the first few weeks. Let the company know about them. And the company, if it's reputable at all, should go ahead and fix most of those things at their cost. If they're important things, if there's a button missing or something like that, they're gonna be like, yeah, that's $1. Go buy it. Ultimately, the little penny ante stuff. If you're worried about that, then chances are a lease purchase isn't for you. It is probably a used truck, and it's going to have some issues, especially cosmetic issues. Okay. Now, if you're getting into a brand new lease truck, obviously that changes a lot. anything that's wrong with a brand new lease truck should be covered under some kind of warranty. So you'll definitely want to, again, that goes back to the contract. Make sure you know what the contract says. Um, the third most important part of going into this new lease is getting to know your dispatcher. Ultimately, your dispatcher is your communication with the company. Your dispatcher determines whether you're moving or not. Okay, so having a good dispatcher is important. And make sure that when you first start, as in your first conversations with your new dispatcher, let them know what your expectations are. Um, because if you haven't communicated with them what your expectations are on weekly miles, home time, how you like to run, then ultimately it's on you. But if you will communicate these things with them, usually they will work with you to make sure that you're running inside your chosen parameters. Okay, so that's important. Make sure you communicate with that dispatcher. If they try to push you outside of your outside of those perimeters, don't give in. Stick to your guns, stick to your parameters, because if you start working over those parameters, they're going to expect that. Okay, so don't do it. Don't give in. Stick to your guns. Um, all dispatchers are not created equal. Okay, and I'll go into more about my current situation here in a moment. But yeah, some dispatchers are really good at their job. Some dispatchers aren't. Some dispatchers care. Some dispatchers don't. Some dispatchers understand their job in relationship to working with contractors and lease operators and stuff. Others do not. Specifically, understand that if you're a company driver, your dispatcher is generally what would be called your immediate supervisor. Okay, if you're a contractor, lease operator, they're not your supervisor. You run your own business. Okay, they are there as support personnel. Okay, and the ones that get that can do a great job helping you run your business, because they understand they are support personnel, not your boss, not your supervisor. Okay. But a lot of dispatchers don't get that. And if you get one like that, go into the company, talk to his supervisor and say, hey, this relationship isn't working out. Is there any way I can get a new dispatcher that will work with me better, or that I communicate with better? 9 times out of 10, they will. They might pitch fit about it a little bit, but most of the time they will allow that at least once. And it depends on the severity of the issue that you have with the dispatcher as well. Um, all right, so those are the top 3 things that I feel you need to really look at coming out of orientation and over your first 2 to 3 weeks of running. So that said, let's look at my last 2 weeks with the company that I'm with. If you've seen my previous video, you know that I'm with a company that I've been with before, that I'd worked at for several years as a lease operator as well as a contractor. And I enjoyed working for the company, in that, and I enjoyed training for the company. This company no longer trains new students fresh out of school. So that said, if you watched my previous video, I was having some issues with my dispatcher, and I had sent him an email to discuss some of those issues. Those issues have not been fixed. He's a terrible communicator. He does not understand his role as a supporting role. And thus he is a liability to my company. That's a problem. I've got enough liabilities. I don't need a dispatcher that doesn't know how to do his job, basically. So, and but part of the issue with that was, as I said before, one of the things that's important is your equipment, right? And so I've noted down several different things about the equipment that really need to be fixed and should be fixed at the company's cost. Um, and so I had sent him an email and talked about those things. He said he would talk to who needs to be talked to about that to see what he can do about that. I've never received a response back about that from either the people that he would have forwarded that on to or from himself. So that's an issue. Uh, Obviously, I've got a lot of other communication issues with him. But here's the deal. I'm at home now, as you can see from the background here. I'm at home. And tom- tomorrow, tomorrow, I should be getting a part in, because on the way home the other night, my uh, mud flap hanger actually it had some rust on it, and it had rusted through, and it decided it was done. So it was hanging there when I pulled into my driveway, and yeah, obviously I don't want to drive the 100+ miles to the terminal to talk to these folks tomorrow, without a mud flap hanger. So I ordered a mud flap hanger, and it will be here tomorrow. So I will be putting mud flap hangers on tomorrow, and then going on down to the terminal, and going in to talk to them Tuesday morning. I was hoping to get all this done Monday, tomorrow, which tomorrow would be your today, because I'm putting this out on Monday. This will go out in the morning, this video. So yeah, when this video goes out, I will be waiting patiently for that part to come in, to get it put on tomorrow afternoon. And then, yeah, get down there and go talk to them Tuesday morning, which will be tomorrow when you see this. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. Obviously the equipment's in decent shape. It's a used truck. It has 530,000 miles on it. I expect it to operate and function as a truck with 530,000 miles on it. The truck is having some EGR issues. I would like for those to be addressed if I'm going to stay in this lease. And the support personnel issue with the dispatcher, that is also going to have to be addressed if I'm going to stay in this lease. So right now, I don't know. It really depends on what happens Tuesday as to whether I continue my relationship with this company or not. But anyways, so that's that. And those are my top three things to be looking at when going into a new lease. Again, the contract, the equipment, and your support personnel. If those three things are in order, you should be able to run a good business. Okay. But if any one of those three parts fails, it's going to make it difficult for you to run your business. So watch those three things and know what you're getting into. All right. That's it for today, guys. So between now and next time, you keep that shiny side up, keep that dirty side down, and we will catch you on the flip flop.